The Ghana Industrial Cassava Stakeholders Platform is recommending 2% of cassava to be included in production of flour by the mills. The group say this will help create a market for 100,000 tons of the crop every year. It also wants government to incorporate cassava flour into the school feeding program to create jobs for Ghanaians. Mahmoud Mohamed Nuruddin reports.
Thailand, they earn over $3 billion a year from cassava. Billion, like in boy. It's not a food crop, it's a purely industrial crop. Vietnam, they started eating cassava about 10-12 years ago. They earn over $1.5 billion a year.
So what is the situation in Ghana?
Challenges we have is we need to get the policymakers to implement and promote policies that will encourage the industrialization of cassava. So cassava can be used as starch, ethanol, sweetness, MSG. MSG is what we use in Royco or Maggi. So there's a lot of things we can do with cassava.
Ghana Industrial Cassava Stakeholders Platform looks into the challenges of high raw material costs for marketing opportunities for smaller holder farmers. Another area of study is to understand the potential of cassava industrialization in Ghana and how processing factories could mop up cassava for sustainable market. Chris Koshi is president of the group.
Market creation. For example, we can mandate that we include 2% cassava flour into our wheat flour. That creates a market for about 100,000 tons a year for cassava flour. And then you can imagine the number of farmers who have to grow cassava to feed that market. And the number of factories that you have to build and create jobs to produce that flour. That's just one example. You can also, school feeding, incorporate cassava flour into the banku mix, into the bread for high schools. So, or you can also use all the cassava products like animal feed. Now we're trying to ranch cattle. Okay, so cassava peels and waste and cassava flour can be used to feed cattle when they are ranched.
Strengthening Ghana's cassava value chain, promoting development of the crop and facilitating linkages to competitive raw material supply sources are critical. One of the major constraints to smallholder cassava producers is harvesting. That challenge, however, is gradually becoming a thing of the past.
Who in the cattle has been glorified, have been over-glorified to such an extent that agriculture is only now restricted to the aged. And it means the young ones are not interested. And because of that, there is that lack of critical mass of actors who will appreciate the relevance of engineering and appropriate technologies to boost their productivity. This technology that we have come out with is a novel one, and it is actually satisfy a basic demand on the ground.
One of the advocacy plans is to drive the institution of policy interventions that would leverage the growth of the cassava industry.
Currently, there is an importation of Turkish flour, which is being flanked onto the market. Just last week, a client called me saying that he has about 1,000 bags sitting from December because they are importing containers of Turkish flour, which happens to be cheaper even than what they are processing here in Ghana. And I think that we should look at it, because if we want to promote industrialization, these are some of the things that we should look at.
Mahmoud Mohamed Nuruddin reporting.